Have you ever felt a different kind of energy on full moon nights? Something that seems to amplify your emotions, thoughts, and even your intuition. That's no coincidence. The moon has a powerful impact not just on the ocean tides, but also on your mental and energetic state. What if you could harness this force to manifest your desires with more clarity and intensity? A full moon works like an amplifier for human experience. If someone is already happy, that happiness turns into euphoria. If there's restlessness, it intensifies. This isn't magic, it's simply nature at work. The ocean's tides rise and fall under the moon's influence, and since our bodies are mostly made of water, we're no different. Ever noticed how some full moon nights feel supercharged, almost impossible to ignore? Whatever is happening inside you becomes more obvious whether that's a good thing or not. For those who are used to stress or anxiety, the full moon can make it feel overwhelming. But for those who cultivate meditation and inner stillness, these nights become rare opportunities for deep spiritual growth. It's like turning the volume all the way up. What's already inside you becomes impossible to ignore. Imagine a mirror that reflects your mind with surgical precision. The moon isn't the problem, it's just showing you what's already there. This means that the full moon can be a powerful tool for self-awareness. If everything feels chaotic, that's a clear sign that something needs adjusting within. Instead of seeing this lunar phase as just another random occurrence, why not use it strategically? Some spiritual traditions even recommend specific practices on full moon nights, like light fasting, silence, and introspection. Because if the full moon is going to amplify whatever's inside you, maybe it's time to make sure what's in there is worth intensifying. The full moon doesn't just affect humans, it influences all of nature in subtle yet powerful ways. The ocean doesn't have a choice, its tides rise and fall in response to the moon. But what about our own internal tides? If even the massive bodies of water on Earth respond to this force, imagine its impact on a human being whose body is over 70% water. Maybe those nights of unexplained insomnia or sudden bursts of energy have a more natural explanation than you think. Sensitive people can feel these shifts intuitively. Some feel restless, others become unusually introspective. And it's not just in their heads. Many traditional healing and spiritual systems recognize that certain lunar days are ideal for specific energetic practices. It's no coincidence that spiritual festivals and rituals around the world align with the lunar cycle. When you learn to observe and work with these influences instead of fighting them, life starts to flow in a much more harmonious way. So, how do you align your energy with this cycle? The first step is to observe. On full moon nights, pay attention to how your body and mind react. Do you feel more clarity or confusion? More energy or exhaustion? Certain practices can help you channel this energy in the best way. Outdoor meditation, deep breathing, and even salt baths can make a huge difference. Because at the end of the day, if the moon has this kind of power over you, why not learn to use it to your advantage? If the full moon amplifies everything that's already within you, it makes sense to use it as a tool to cultivate the mental and emotional states you actually want. Instead of being at the mercy of turbulent emotions, you can transform that energy into something productive. The key is intention. Just like a gardener chooses what to plant, anyone can decide which emotions and thoughts they want to nurture. If you feed sadness and anxiety, they'll grow. But if you choose calmness and clarity, the full moon can become a catalyst for that. Meditating on full moon nights can be incredibly powerful. The stillness of the night, combined with the intensified energy, creates the perfect setting for deep introspection. Some spiritual traditions recommend simple practices, like sitting in a quiet place and just observing your breath. It sounds basic, but that simplicity is exactly what allows the mind to organize itself. Plus, keeping an upright posture and focusing your attention on the center of your chest can create a lasting sense of well-being for days. Another effective approach is writing down clear intentions on paper and reading them out loud before bed. What do you want to strengthen within yourself? Peace, discipline, gratitude? During a full moon, these intentions can take root more deeply in your subconscious. And one thing's for sure, if the moon has the power to move the tides, it can also help shift your life in the direction you want. But to make that happen, you have to learn how to use it with awareness. The human mind loves logic. It wants to explain, analyze, and understand everything in a neat, linear way. But some of life's deepest experiences don't fit inside logic. Love, for example, you don't fall in love because it makes sense. The same goes for moments of pure inspiration, joy, or deep meditation. When the mind stops trying to control everything and simply allows the experience to happen, something incredible unfolds. But for many people, letting go like that feels scary because we've been trained to only trust what we can measure and prove. During the full moon, this tension between logic and experience becomes even more noticeable. That's why some people feel an unexplained restlessness. They're trying to rationalize something that doesn't need to be rationalized. Meditation is a great way to experiment with this. Instead of asking yourself if you're doing it right or wrong, or trying to analyze every sensation, just sit in silence and observe. This simple act starts to dissolve the need for control and makes space for something far greater than logic can ever grasp. If an artist created a painting based purely on logic, the art would lose its soul. If a musician followed only mathematical rules, the music would have no emotion. Life works the same way. There needs to be a balance between analysis and surrender. In yoga, there are practices that help harmonize this duality, allowing the mind to work with the experience rather than against it. Because in the end, logic can take you to the door, but only experience will make you walk through it. And that brings us to an even deeper concept about human existence. In yoga, human existence is seen through two fundamental aspects: the sun and the moon. The sun represents logic, clarity, structure, everything that can be measured and explained. The moon, on the other hand, symbolizes intuition, mystery, what lies beyond reason. Both forces are essential for a balanced life. Too much sun can make someone rigid, closed off to new experiences. Too much moon can lead to confusion and illusion. The key is to align these two aspects in a harmonious way. Modern society places too much emphasis on the solar side: work, productivity, linear thinking. But if you look at nature, you'll see that nothing grows under a scorching sun all the time. Plants need the night to recover, just as the mind needs pauses to reorganize itself. The full moon is a reminder of this other side of existence, the side of surrender, contemplation, feeling without needing to understand. Learning to connect with this energy can profoundly transform how someone experiences life. Practices like alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, help balance solar and lunar energies within the body. Likewise, simply observing the full moon in silence can be a powerful form of meditation. If the sun lights the path, the moon lights the inner journey. And without this balance, human experience becomes limited. But when both aspects are nurtured, life expands in ways you never expected. Living purely by logic can become a suffocating cycle. What makes sense isn't always what brings fulfillment. Many people fall into the trap of routine: wake up, work, go home, repeat. Without realizing it, they are slowly consuming themselves. They don't need a major tragedy to break them down. The absence of new experiences does that on its own. And when life loses its color, the mind starts searching for an escape, sometimes even through self-destruction, in small doses. The full moon, by intensifying inner states, can bring this dissatisfaction to the surface. But this isn't a curse, it's an opportunity to see what's wrong before it becomes unbearable. If someone feels a growing emptiness, maybe it's time to change something. Small actions can break the cycle. Trying a new activity, changing the environment, or even taking a simple walk under the moonlight. Anything that disrupts repetition creates space for life to renew itself. And there's something even deeper to this. If the mind keeps repeating the same thoughts, the same patterns, it's no surprise that life starts to feel like an endless loop. But what happens when you learn to direct that energy toward something higher? Cultivating practices that expand your perception can make all the difference. Because in the end, it's not just about avoiding pain, it's about finding something that makes life truly worth living. And this is where spiritual growth becomes essential. True fulfillment comes when all aspects of your being, body, mind, emotions, and energy are fully engaged in life. Many people only skim the surface, trapped in cycles of desire and frustration. But when life is lived fully, every experience, good or bad, becomes an opportunity for growth. This doesn't mean avoiding challenges, it means facing them with a broader perspective. Spiritual growth isn't about escaping reality. It's about experiencing it more intensely and consciously. Yoga and other spiritual practices were developed precisely for this, to bring alignment between all these aspects. When the body is healthy, the mind is clear, emotions are balanced, and energy is vibrant. Life no longer feels heavy or repetitive. It takes on a whole new dimension. But this doesn't happen by chance. It's a process that requires intention and practice. Something as simple as waking up earlier to meditate or spending time in silence can be the start of that transformation. And this journey has no final destination. There are always new levels of perception to explore. The full moon, for example, can serve as a reminder of this process. It reflects the sun's light in its entirety, just as a human being can reflect life in its fullest expression. What stops someone from living this way? Maybe it's the way they see the world, their beliefs or unconscious habits. And when those change, reality changes too. Now that you understand how the full moon influences your mind and energy, how do you plan to use this knowledge? Will you keep letting your emotions control you, or will you turn this moment into a powerful opportunity? Share your experience with the full moon in the comments and subscribe to the channel to keep exploring these teachings.